Imagine sending your child to school to get an education, but for them to be bullied and pushed into taking their own life. This is the reality of the families we speak to this week. My name is Tsegofatso Magolejo, and I'm on a mission to find out why and how did this happen under the clearly not so watchful eye of our authorities. This is a sight no mother should have to bear.
Ke rona batla go nna Dr. Moalusi. Re lositse doctor ya rona. Our Dr. Moalusi is gone.
The doctor Aunt Masengeta Khosa is referring to is the late 15-year-old Diro Moalusi.
Diro o khutsi le ngwana o respectang na re hlompha thata ana le lerato ngwana o ratang butlini na le school a sa rate modumo.
His life was cut short after being humiliated in class allegedly by a teacher because of his sexuality.
Ko skolong na le botlhale ha bua skolong ne le motho o ne ai before a simolola go tswa a go dlala ne a etsa di homework tsa gagwe.
The teenager was a grade 9 pupil from PJ Simelane Secondary School in Soweto.
Hali go skolong go teacher, a student teacher ba mmitsa ba re ile ne ile last period o ile a mmitsa gore a tlo presenta ko pele ke ne ile Setswana ne le period ya Setswana. So o ile a mmitsa ha go fitlana ka gore a bitse Tiro Moalusi a zanga a mmitsa ka Tiro Moalusi o itse a buti ngwanyana.
In this recording obtained by SABC News, a witness to the incident explains what transpired during class.
O ritse ko Tiro a zanga re Tiro o ritse ke batla ngwanyana a buti o le o dutseng ko khoneng a tlo presentela mo pele and then Tiro ke ga ba sa emele
Itse ga tswa skolong after school Tiro because o nagane gore ka moso ha bua skolong the way ne ba motshega ka teng o tla a ka se feel sharp ba tla nna bantse ba motshega ka sexuality ya gagwe. Tiro o ile tshepisong ko mamogolo wa gagwe o mo.
Instead of sharing his feelings with his aunt, Tiro did the unthinkable. He ingested something that was later discovered to be red poison.
Itse after nako mamogolo wa gagwe o bona Tiro o emotional. Walla wa botsa Tiro ke eng? Tiro a botsa Nokthula mamogolo wa gagwe a re mamogolo go sho gore ke tla nna setshegiso ka sexuality ya ka nna. By then na setse a jile a le phiring di packets tse 2 ha bona mamogolo wa gagwe gore o jile a le phiring. Itse mola a utlwa ko toilet ke te gona le sound engwe ha ya ko toilet tsa go bula monyako ga o bulege ha se ba a bula kana go a bulang Tiro se o tswa magobisong ke te wa tlhatsa ha ba motsa ka koloi ba misa ko sepetlele ko leratong ha fitla sepetlele ne se go fedile ka eng ke ya di doctor di confirm gore smell sa poison ke a le phiring.
Diro Moalusi was buried on August 25th. The teacher in question was actually a student teacher from the University of the Northwest. We understand that the university is still investigating the student teacher while they have been suspended by the Gauteng Department of Basic Education. The department's spokesperson, Steve Mabona, told us that investigations are still underway and at an advanced stage.
Really no, we are struggling go accepta gore ngwana o re gotseng rona batsadi ba gagwe rona family ya gagwe re acceptile sexuality ya gagwe a ipolaya because of motho rona re gotse re itse gore Tiro ke gay ene re morata as gay ya rona so gore motho a tlo mmitsa ka le bitso gore ngwana a ba a tsaya life ya gagwe le no a re gone go kry peace especially mama gage, because le skolo azange ba mo offer counseling, azange ba etsa next until now.
An inquest was opened with the South African Police Services in Gauteng. We contacted the South African Police Services Colonel Dimakatso Sillo. In this message, the colonel stated that as per the case number you provided, that is an inquest and was taken to Kagiso Magistrates Court on November 25th.
Ko police station re zamme because PJ Smelani imo Dobsonville. Raya police station ya rona Dobsonville. Ba re bolella gore ka o re ngwana o ipolaetse go tshepisong. Re tshwantse re police station ya bona go. A re ya mo ba re jikisitse ba re isako. Ebe re ya ba re jikisa ba re tshwantse re tle go ya mo. Re sokotse gore re be re create that closure until tsatsi leo go ileng ra bitswa ko sekolong ba re Department of Education ba batla gore interview. Ha re fitla ko gating ke ga go fihla ba go Kagiso police station ba re fa case number go feletse fo.
His story begins where his life ends.
Ngumse ekliniki, masifika ekliniki ngabo 10. Ngumse ekliniki, masifika ekliniki. Bathi no nifike umpho ephefumula kancane. Hayi basihlalisa apha ekliniki. Bathi ilife kampho iphelile. Waphela umpho kanjalo.
A similar incident happened just 2 months prior to Tiro Mwalusi's death. Mpho Falitenjwa was just 14 years old when he took his own life. This on a chilly evening of June 2nd last year. His inconsolable father, Daniel Falitenjwa, says he held his last-born child's hand when he took his final breath.
Umpho uzelwe ngo-2007. Bekazalwa umntana othulile kakhulu. Udade wabo bekenza bo-grade 10. Waba nguye omkhulisayo umpho.
Daniel tells us that Mpho identified as gay, meaning he was attracted to other boys, a sexual orientation that he took no issue with.
Uthandana amantombazane kakhulu. Uze uthi kumtata abona ukuthi ndimhle kanjani buza kubani ucela uba umhle wena. Athi bona ndimhle kanjani tata ithi umhle boy. Umpho de bengakhona zikhona ezinye ithombe zakhe mhla Wombhekile ngathi ba intombazana. Uyatshintsha yabona.
His sister, Nolutando, says she has always known that Mpho was gay.
I-relationship yami noMpho besi close kakhulu, obviously as a younger brother yami asakhula. Bekumntana ukuthi like siyakhuluma siyaxoxa yonke into, and then yeah, besi close kakhulu futhi.
Although Mpho and his family seemed to have come to terms with his sexuality, the community around him and his classmate at Leshata Secondary School in Orange Farm, a township outside Johannesburg, felt otherwise. That's when the bullying started.
Ezinye zezinto bekasanokuziposta, bengisanokumbuza obviously as kumntana kithi, and then bese like kube umuntu ongazathi bekazibhalela nje okwabona. So ufana na this last incident eyenzakele khona the other time vele abanye abantwana bambuza bammoka ukuthi bambiza stuff like that, and then wafika endlini akhala.
A 2016 research study conducted by OUT LGBT Wellbeing reported that LGBTQI+ learners often face discrimination and bullying in South African schools, with 56% of LGBTQI+ South Africans surveyed reporting that they had experienced discrimination based on their sexuality or gender identity whilst attending school. Mpho was subjected to constant bullying through name-calling, physical, emotional abuse, and online bullying, according to his family. This heart-wrenching Facebook post by 14-year-old Mpho reads, "Deaf at my lowest right now, but I'll surely bounce back." In another post, he wrote, "I have been discriminated against many times, both in the community and school, but I told myself that I am strong and should not allow negativity to break me."
benimthumile othenga ama-cold drink hhayi Mpho abuye kafika sekuvaliwe lapho hhayi makebuya hhayi Mpho ahlale andibekele amanzi ohlamba ngangena ndiyahlamba ngandihlamba mama kathi Mpho ukhalelani Mpho athi andikhali mama okay mna ndilapha ndiyamva Mpho bathethe athi andikhali mama hayi ndigqiba uhlamba andigqiba uhlamba ndibuza kanti bowuthini athi ndibuza Mpho ngathi ubuze Mpho ukhalelani Mpho uthi andikhali hayi ndithathe iglobe bingalayithi ekamreni ndithathe ilayithi ikhona inye ilayithi ekamreni ndithole Mphulele ngesisu ndithi Mpho xa ngiphapha Mpho sekakhipha igwebu mna ndirhuqa Mpho sisidudla ke Mpho ungakanani uyandehlula ndithi ndizambeka esofeni yandehlula Mpho ahlale phansi sekazithoyilethele ukuthi utye ntoni asazi.
The agonizing discrimination that Mpho was feeling finally broke him. He also ended his life by allegedly ingesting a red poison.
Sisema sifika vele ekuseni because it was Friday, obviously sizohamba siyombona on a Monday. So masiqeda ukufika la bekalele khona ekamereni lakhe sasearch phansi komcamelo ila sithole khona notes nobaba.
The chilling suicide note that the grade 9 learner left reads,
"Dear Mom and Sister Noluthando, I love you so much, but I now decided to cut my life short. You will always be in my heart. I know I will leave you in pain, but don't cry. Just wear white and bury me in front of my biological mother. I want to come home on Friday and be buried. All my school and classmates are allowed to see me. I love you. All my clothes are to be given to Nkoskhona Nkosi. My favorite ones, give them to Nsabse Ngwenya, my best friend. My school bag must also be given to Nkoskhona. None of my family shall receive my clothes. See you in the other world, which is heaven." Every now and then ngisanokuyifunda because ngitry to understand ukuthi kwenzakaleni, what went wrong.
In August, 14-year-old Lukhanyo Jonqo, a grade 7 learner from Kubisi Combined School in Kumakala, Standerheim, also took his life by hanging himself after being bullied by his classmates for identifying as gay. Counseling psychologist Jonathan Bosworth analyzed the method of operation in all three incidents.
I think kind of suicide comes about when there are big significant struggles. So when someone just feels completely dysregulated, there's no way of actually feeling okay. I feel that depressed, I feel that overwhelmed, I feel that rejected. So feelings that kind of actually feel like they can't be managed in any other way, that the only way to end those feelings is actually to end a person's life.
Bosworth specializes in adolescents' identity and relationships.
Often people that are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender or intersex are kind of often still a minority group in South Africa. I think often our understandings of sexual diversity and gender diversity sometimes are quite limited. So I think the challenge for many young people that have these identities or experiences is, I suppose, internalizing those messages, actually being treated differently by their peers, by their teachers, by their family, by their community, and often being seen as less than by other people, but that's something that we can internalize and start seeing ourselves as less than.
He says that parents should always pay attention to their children, especially parents of children who may be gay, lesbian, bisexual, intersex, transgender, or queer.
I think it's really obviously trying to keep track of your child if there are sudden changes in behavior, broader kind of indicators of mental health, if they're struggling to sleep, if they appear depressed, if they appear anxious, if they appear withdrawn, are they spending time with other people, are they managing with their schoolwork? Are they showing any signs of distress? So I think really looking out for those broader signals, but I think kind of just having a broader awareness that your child might be a vulnerable person in our society. But I think looking at broader research from across the world, LGBT youth are, I think it's from some studies about 1.5 times higher, more likely to attempt suicide, to actually about 8 times more higher compared to their cisgender and heterosexual peers. So there's something about kind of how we approach their kind of this minority category, approach these certain identities, that does actually really raise the risk of suicide.
Ukushona kaMpho like mina kimi kungilimazile kakhulu because uMpho bengimthatha njengomntanami. Like I couldn't believe kungithatha isikhathi ukuthi ngikholwe ukuthi like uMpho akasekho at all.
Ngoma sibona abantwana isikolo ziyavulwa uMpho akekho yo kuba yinyipeni.
Sexual orientation and gender identity are protected categories under the South African Constitution, but the lived realities of gender and sexual minorities often tell a different story. 14 civil society groups led by Utingo Network, an NGO whose core values are equality, respect, and acceptance, have penned an open letter to the Minister of Basic Education, Angie Motshekga, asking for more decisive leadership that will put in place more stringent measures to ensure that all learners are safe and protected from any form of bullying and harassment in South African schools. The letter also states that it is vital that the Department of Basic Education strongly condemns the action of its teachers, which go against the essence of creating safe and enabling teaching and learning environments for all learners. One of the 14 civil society organizations is Gender Dynamics. We spoke to Belinda Qakamba Kafasi on a project that the organization is working on to ensure that school grounds do not become death traps.
In basic education, what we do then, we have established a digital tool where we had created an online learning where teachers can have access to learning about gender diversity and gender expression and identity in schools. But it's not just for teachers. It is structured in such a fashion that anyone who works within schools is able to gain information. So that'd be your school social workers, your educational psychologists, your supporting staff within the schools, your SGB members, so that they can understand that the spectrum of gender within schools.
I think it's really important to know that this is a societal problem and not an individual problem. So I think often coming from medicine, psychiatry, psychology, there has been a pathologization in the past, kind of being homosexual, being transgender was a form of mental illness or seen as a form of mental illness. And then the idea was actually that you could somehow change a person's sexual orientation, you could change a person's gender identity. What we realized with contemporary research and best practice is actually that's not possible. Trying to change a person's sexual orientation, trying to change a person's gender identity actually really leads to a lot more distress and actually a lot more trauma. But actually allowing people to be themselves actually has the best health outcomes. Actually a gay person or bisexual person, a pansexual person, a transgender person, if they are in an environment that is respectful of them, supportive, understanding of them, they can live out just as a healthy, happy life as a cisgender or heterosexual peer.
Accessibility is at the top of the list for Gender Dynamics' online program for teachers, which have been shared with over 70 teachers already across the country.
So, hence, we've been working also hand in hand with this Department of Basic Education, doing strategic intervention, so that it comes from the department as something that is compelling and an instruction, and not giving choice. One of our ethos is really inclusive education.
Back in Orange Farm in Soweto, the families of Tiro Mwalusi and Mpofale Tenjwa are still reeling from pain.
They need that closure. They need that closure.
uNkulunkulu usiCreateile sinje because of uNkulunkulu, so akumelanga umuntu akuthathe bese yena afuna ukuthi ube yilento le o kumele ube yiyo or yena acabanga ukuthi kumele ube yiyo.